listening to this week's episode of Pre-Brawl, your prep show for the Tavern Brawl in Hearthstone, part of the Hearth podcast.
Welcome to episode 5 of Pre-Brawl, of July 15th, the Wednesday. Chris isn't here, as you can tell, so it's me, Frost, and wonderful Matt Hillmann.
It sounded like you were saying you're here, and Frost is here, and me.
Shut up. People know who I am. I'm famous.
Yeah, we got Aidan and myself. It's great.
Yeah. So it's not a bad episode not to have Chris, like our father figure here, because I mean, this week's brawl was kind of very, very simple. So I mean,
yeah.
So this week's brawl is you choose a class and you get a random deck with your class cards. You can't get other people's class cards. You can only get your own. Like you only get warlock cards if you play a warlock, mage cards if you play a mage, yada yada yada. But the cool thing is legendaries are very, very likely, very, very common. I think they're like as common as like rares, I guess, if you were doing an arena or something. So I mean,
yeah, they come up a lot actually.
And you can get multiples of them. So, I mean, if you play Warlock, you can get, like, multiple Mal'Ganis. Like, you can have some crazy stuff. But it's all RNG, yeah. So it's like, you have no idea what your deck's going to be made up of, other than the fact that you know that you're going to get your good old class cards in it.
Yeah. So my experience so far, I actually played Shaman, and I played a little bit of Warrior. I got Deathwing when I was playing my Warrior, and I'm like, man, I'm going to rock this shit with Deathwing in this deck. So I play Deathwing, and he's got a Doomhammer, because I'm playing against a Shaman. He's got a Doomhammer out, and he hits me in the face a bunch, and then I smack him with Deathwing, and then his Doomhammer runs out, and he top decks another Doomhammer. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So yeah, overall, that sucked. Also, he had Alakir he eventually played at one point. It was like, oh my god, I can't deal with this.
Yeah, it's amazing, like, the stuff that can happen, though. Like, I've had games where I have, like, 4 Murloc cards in my opening hand. I'm like, am I playing, like, a Murloc deck now? Or, like, did I just randomly RNG myself into, like, the classic Murloc, like, Warlock type decks? I'm like, I don't know, it's just completely random. I kind of like it. I see why, like, a lot of people on Reddit, I find like it. I've been reading the discussion threads, because, it's really good for, like, free-to-play players, like, who don't put money into the game, because you get to experiment with all these cards. Like, you don't actually have to build your own deck. So, I mean, people like that really, really enjoy it. They get to test out legendaries and all that fun stuff. But, I mean, I think it's all right, I guess. I guess it's kind of fun to play against friends. Like, you can...
The thing is, like, after you play a couple rounds, you're going to realize it's entirely RNG. And so you're going to win pretty much half your games and lose half your games. Like, there's not a lot of skill involved. I think it's going to get stale really quickly. As opposed to like the last one we were playing where you were you made a deck and it summoned minions, right? That was the last one? Yeah, so like that one actually required some skill because you build this deck with all these spells or whatever, and then you summon minions when you play spells. So that's like, you know, it's kind of cool for the more experienced player. But this one's kind of stale already just based on the fact that it's almost entirely RNG. There's not a lot of skill to it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess you can choose a class with good class-specific spells, but I mean, other than that, like, and their class-specific legendaries, you're really just hitting, like, you go into the create a deck screen, hitting, choosing your class, and hitting, let the innkeeper pick my cards. But the only difference is, like, now that you're getting multiple legendaries, which I guess is kind of fun. I mean, I was reading some stories of people, like, playing mage. They draw Flame Leviathan, and then next turn they draw Flame Leviathan, and it just does 4 damage to the entire board. It's like, like stuff like that's kind of fun. Ridiculous. And I mean, I've been seeing some cards. It's like, wow, this card's kind of fun to play. Like, but it would never see playing competitive. Like, I was running a Warlock deck today, so I had a Blood Imp, which first of all is absolutely terrible. So I played my Blood Imp turn 1, and then I'm like, oh my god, I have Demon Heart. Demon Heart is the 5 mana. Buff your demon by 5/5 or deal 5 damage to a minion. So I buffed my Blood Imp to a 5/6 Blood Imp, and it's just stuff like that's kind of fun. It's like, you'd never see that ever. Or I had a Dragon Egg when I was playing Druid, and I buffed it with Dark Whispers, which is the 6 mana either buff your card by 5/5 or summon 5 wisps. which I mean, absolutely terrible card. But I got a 5/7 Dragon Egg, so like that
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. And they had to polymorph my 1 mana card.
Yeah, the one I was playing Warrior, I had Deathbite out, and I hit my I hit a minion so that it did the whirlwind effect, and it hit my Mukla, and I was playing King Mukla. He's a 5/5 on the board. He gets hit to a 5/4, and then I double Rampage. So instead of a 5/4, he became an 11/10. It was pretty great.
Yeah, like that's I don't know. It's always gonna be fun playing with RNG stuff. Hopefully, it doesn't get too stale. But I mean, there's no real strategies that we can give people. I don't think. I mean, pick decks that you're really familiar with. Maybe pick. I think if you don't have like all the legendaries and stuff, just pick decks that will like give you legendaries that you want to try out. Like that's probably the best thing you can do with this. Like if you don't have Mal'Ganis or Jaraxxus, play some Warlock. If you don't have Flame Leviathan or Antonidas, play some Mage. Like I think that's going to be the best way to play this mode.
Yeah, because you're
Or
going to experience a lot more cards in this because all of the legendaries, like we said, have a higher chance of going into the deck. So if you want to try out a certain legendary, that's a good way to start out. Pick a deck that you know haven't really played a lot of.
yeah, or like shit. What was the other point I was going to make? If you want to level some classes, like everything's kind of random. So in theory, like of course your play does affect your win rate, but if you get absolute crap cards and they get good cards, they're going to win the game for the most part. So if you want to level a class, like for example, I have a level like 30 priest where I have like 60 warlock, hunter, and mage. It's like I'm going to play some priest because I have like a 50% chance to win because I might just get better cards.
Right, exactly. And the same thing goes for quests. Like, I have a bunch of quests to win as warrior, so I was playing as warrior so I can complete some of those quests. And some of the ones that are play a bunch of minions with 5 attack or greater, those are great too because you have all these big legendaries and stuff. So, yeah, it's a good way to finish quests and things. And, of course, you get the free pack if you win, so that's always a good thing to do too.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, like, there's really not much to it. It's a little bit of fun. Like, I haven't played a ton of it. I've played 6 or 7 games. I think I've only won 2 of them. I'm pretty bad at this RNG game, but I
Yeah,
mean,
me too, I
it's
guess.
still fun, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to say. Go try it out. RNG. They just were like, all right, we're just gonna do this. I think Blizzard ran out of ideas or something. They're like, all right, why don't we just do a completely random deck? Like, okay,
It sounds like every second week they're doing a one that's already kind of constructed for you. Like you just choose a class and then you play with it, or like it's going to be a pre-constructed deck. But every other second week, it's going to be you make your own deck sort of thing. Like they've done that so far. Like it was Rag versus Nefarian. The second one
yeah,
was Bananas, which you had to make your own deck. Third one was
web spinners.
Web Spinners, so you just chose a class and you had Web Spinners in it. And then fourth week was you construct your own deck with spells, and this week is the pre-made deck again. So it looks like they're doing a rotation, which is kind of nice because a player like me who has a lot of cards already, I mean, I can make good decks with all the cards that I want. But a player who might not have as many cards, like I'm sure they really do appreciate the pre-made decks.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that might be it, though. I mean, it's not like there's too much talk about it. It's all RNG. Hopefully, everyone has fun with it. I mean, spam some games with your friends, play some legendaries, do all the cool things.
Yep.
Anything else before we close this out?
I think that's pretty much it. Go have fun with RNG.
Yeah, and we'll see you guys for the 6th episode of the Hearth on Saturday.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.